Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be learning a new chess opening. It is an aggressive and easy to learn, pretty easy stuff, and it's going to be a Scotch game. If you don't know, that is the main opening I play for white pieces. You should check it out, check out the other videos, especially the most recent ones. So it goes like this: e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4. Plan is to alleviate central pressure, open up files for possible attacks, and castle queenside. Most of the times you'll see castle in queenside these cases. So if they don't play d5, they don't play e takes d4. There are some possible variations. This is the best move, according to Stockfish, is the best move, and any other move is pretty much on accuracy or leading slightly better for white. So let's take a look. We're going to take a look at d6 first, one of the most common ones. Now here, the plan is to take the pawn and exchange here. The plan is to exchange. If they take with the knight, we capture back, they take, and we capture the queen. They lose complete their right to castle. Play bishop c4 to attack the weak f-pawn. As you can see here, they play f6 to prevent that. We play knight, we play here the bishop to start activating it. They play something else, and we play knight c3. Right? They're going to move their king away from the d5, usually king is7, c7. I'm going to castle. As you can see, we have our pieces developed. Every piece, it has absolutely no pieces developed apart from these pawns, which aren't really good. And as you can see there, it's a pretty pleasant position for white. Now, what if he takes with the pawn? Well, same thing. We just trade the queens, again threaten the pawn over here, f6, and we continue with our plan. Anyways, castle queenside basically. Now, we can play something else. We can play knight f6, trying to counterattack. Now we have two options. We can either take the pawn or push a pawn. If we take the pawn, they're going to take our pawn back, attack with the queen, move their knight back to c5, and we're going to move our knight to c3. It's slightly better for white now because there's a much greater leading development. There's a central pawn. Castling is easy at this point, and yes, this is better for white. Now, the other case is that we play the push a pawn. So again, they're going to be like in other variations. We're going to push the knight back. We're going to take, we threaten the knight. They play knight c5, counter attacking. So we threaten checkmate. So they need to respond immediately. We take, and we're not taking with the queen because that will completely eliminate this checkmate threat. We take with the pawn to keep up the pressure. And they move this, we're counter-attacking the knight. And if they take, we basically, and they can't really take, so they have to take the pawn. And we move our knight back. Pawn is hanging. And again, move and castle queenside. If you want, you can castle kingside in this case, because it's much easier. But it's always recommended to get queenside in this opening. Now, another case, another case is that they play d5, which is not exactly good move. Why? Because we can follow up with knight takes e5, and they can take the usual choices. Take the pawn. Now pin the knight, since there are two attackers, we can get more out of less. And it's going to play bishop d7. We're going to capture the bishop. It's going to take with the queen, forced of course, and we have a support, and we support the bishop with c4. Now as you can see, we have a strong pin. We have two pawns in the center. We have prospects to start castling and attacking, and yes, it is pretty good. Now, what if they don't take with the pawn and they take the knight? Now we just take, they take back, we trade the queens, and again, as usual, we develop the pieces, and we have a major lead in development. Now, another common idea is that they play after they capture. they capture our knight and they'll capture our queen. Now, there are several main options. D6, which after we develop our bishop, we get the knight here because they're trying with the knight start attacking to, so we don't attack bishop. Now, I play here, we play knight c3, they capture, we capture the queen, they castle and have a check, gain more tempo, and now attack both pieces. We play king e7, we take, and yes, this also have major lead again. Ready prospect, castle king, exposed against the exposed king. Now, other option is instead of playing knight f6, d6 is they play knight f6, which will respond to e5. We try to tag it. Now, most cases going to go back and we just continue normal development as usual, right? Other times we try to be sneaky with this, but it doesn't really work because it doesn't really works. It doesn't work because you can just break off the pin and continue with our journey. Now, other option is that they play h5, in which we just continue, we just push and have normal development. All right. So we said a lot of stuff by now. So to recap, basically, if they don't play like this, the main plan is to trade the queens, attack on f4, on f7, and develop castle queenside. So after they take here, and usually if they don't know what they're doing, they're going to capture back the knight. Sometimes they're going to play in queen f6, which isn't really, which tries to trade off the queens and get some tempo stuff in pretty equalish position. Play e5, threaten the queen. They're going to play b6. We capture here, we take back, and we play bishop f4. The idea behind this is that because this bishop is stuck behind the pawn, can't really do much. All right, we play c5, we develop normally, and we can castle either side in next move. All right, it's very playable. There's nothing to worry about. Now, another variation is that to play here, which isn't very common, so we won't cover it. And now we've covered pretty much all the odd variations. Now, we're going for another variation, also relatively common, is that we take and they play this counterattacking. So what do? We play here, we take it, and they have prospects of pushing the pawn. Now what do? How do we respond that? We push the knight, they're trying to pin it, but we break the pin, so they don't get it. So they have to move the knight. Play d5, try to attack, play c4, getting it out of the way. Bishop a6, pinning it, or support it. They were going to fianchetto, we attack the queen, and now this is basically the relationships. There's the pawn over here, blocks the queens. This knight is now covered by now this knight's covering here, and there's not much going on. Now, we'll just play bishop b2, normal stuff, get knight out there. Of course, we can't capture because of the pin. And yeah, we don't need to learn that dip, only have to know up to this point, basically. And now it's a pretty playable game. You can just fear ghetto and stuff. Alright, it's not complicated. Of course, you're going to castle with queen side if you want, king side if you want to, so that you don't really, because you can't really get covered with such pawns. So, we go with another variation. Oh, sorry. So this one is called the classical. It starts with bishop c5. Now we protect it. It starts attacking again. All right, they really want this knight. Now he takes the knight over here. Start protecting. Now the most common moves right now is to play here, and they're just normal stuff. We play here, get back, and we have a very solid position with open files, active pieces, and a safe king. All right, pretty common stuff. Now, another variation of here is that they could play g6, fianchetto the bishop, and have a pretty open file, and you don't really know to to know up to here. You only have to know to this point so that you don't want to blunder anything. Now, I'm going for one last variation for this video. This is a Steinitz variation, that's how it's called, and it's going Queen h4. This is the most aggressive response of all. You really need to be careful here so that you do not lose all your pieces. Of course, here you don't play g3, that's immediate blunder. It's very prominent. If you have the ability to eat solid food, you're going to notice that. So we protect the pawn. Let's go to pin it so that we do not protect the pawn anymore. We're going to play here or to allow for castling. They take it because we have pinned knight. We can't really do much. We attack here, counterattack with the fork. They're going to protect the king. First capture the knight, and then we still have this attack, so they are going to protect with the king. Now, they're going to castle, take the knight out, and basically, if you start going here, we just go here and start counterattacking. They're going here, and we're basically a pretty good position by playing knight here, by pinning the knight. This is the most solid position you could get after 12 moves, with open files, prospect for attacks and trades. You know, pretty plain stuff. Now, another thing you can go is that you do not play. If you play here, it's just going to take knight. This is not very good for us, right? If you play here after the opponent, if he takes, if he doesn't take and plays here, just take and is played normally. No. So the plan in this variation is to not lose all of our pieces, counterattack possibly, castle kingside, and we don't really care about this pawn, alright? We just want it. We can let him take it. Counterattack, and we have a better position as a compensation for this pawn, right? We're pawn down, but we have slightly better position. Let's see. And that concludes today's game, today's video. Right, I've covered main variations, which basically shows that the Scotch game is mainly about opening up files, getting attacks, counter attacks, aggressive stuff. Right? It's not passive. It's not something you don't want to be very passive about. Right? We're not here to be passive. We're here to be aggressive. We're here to attack and pressurize the opponent. So this concludes the video. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, of course. See you in the next one.